Teenagers filmed me walking my chubby dog on TikTok and turned me into the most hated man on the internet. I lost my job, got death threats, became a national meme, but they had no idea who I really was. What happened next completely broke the internet and changed our stories forever. My name is Caleb Harris, I'm 33 years old, and I'm a logistics supervisor at Midwest Supply Chain Services in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Frank Osborne hired me 5 years ago, back when I still thought work was just about clocking in and getting paid. Company issued blue polo shirt, black briefcase, black coffee at 7 a.m. That was my Monday through Friday routine. Thursday reports, endless meetings about load optimization, awkward water cooler talk about the latest Wildcats game. You know that feeling of waking up every day in the same movie? Weekends revealed who I really was inside. While my office buddies slept in or detailed their cars in the driveway, I'd drive 15 minutes to the city shelter on the outskirts of town. Marcy Anderson ran that place with military discipline and a motherly heart, always needing volunteers ready to put in real work. Ray Jenkins, a seasoned caretaker with 2 decades of experience, introduced me to a simple truth. Abandoned animals teach lessons that people rarely can. Since I was just a humble guy helping out at an animal shelter without fanfare, I never mentioned it at the office. Some missions are too personal to bring up over coffee. Among the dozens of animals waiting for a second chance, I met one soul who changed how I saw real value. Copper was a mixed golden retriever, 8 years old, with a round belly that showed he enjoyed every meal and the calm vibe of a seasoned philosopher. Families would come looking for hyper puppies, glance at him for a few seconds, give that pity look, and rush over to the younger cages. That rejected dog watched every visit with impressive dignity, never showing frustration or desperation. For 2 full years, not a single family even considered giving him a shot. But he had earned my respect from day one. We developed a routine that became sacred for both of us. Every Saturday after helping Ray clean the facility in the morning, I'd grab my buddy's faded red leash and we'd head out for our walk through a nearby residential neighborhood. Unlike the younger dogs that tug like crazy, he walked with deliberate purpose, studied every tree like a curious scientist, and took strategic breaks in the shade when the Kentucky sun got too intense. Neighbors who passed by always complimented his calm nature and well-kept look. Those 30 minutes were my one genuine connection all week. Spending time with these animals society forgot, I learned that appearances can be dangerous traps for those who judge too quickly. Copper had extraordinary emotional intelligence. He'd pick up on my stress levels before I even knew I was stressed, offering quiet company with zero expectations or pressure. Marcy used to say that special creatures wait patiently for the right person at the right moment in life. I fully believed in that philosophy, guarding our routine like the most valuable treasure I had back then. That October Saturday started like every other one over the past 2 years. I woke up at the usual time, made my black coffee, put on jeans and a t-shirt, then grabbed my company jacket off the kitchen chair. The chilly Kentucky morning called for an extra layer. I drove to the shelter and found the usual scene. Marcy sorting paperwork, Ray filling food bowls in the cages. My buddy greeted me with his signature tail wag when I clipped on his red leash. We headed out the side door for our weekly stroll without a care in the world. Maple Street was our choice that day, a quiet street with big front yards where he loved exploring new scent territories. Copper followed his usual scientific ritual, sniffing every pole, inspecting every fence, processing information with the patience of someone who's got all the time in the world. Neighbors were out watering plants or grabbing the morning paper, nodding politely as we passed by. The weather was perfect. My companion seemed pleased with his discoveries, and I was just soaking in that rare kind of peace. Our routine flowed as naturally as ever until we reached the small park at the end of the street. There were a few teenagers sitting on a bench near the playground, nothing unusual for a Saturday morning in any American neighborhood. The golden retriever chose to rest on the shaded grass nearby, catching his breath with his round belly gleaming under the morning sun. I stood next to him, distractedly watching birds in the trees while that sturdy dog lay peacefully in his usual pose. The teens chatted among themselves with their phones in hand, a typical scene of their generation making content for social media. After a few minutes, he got up, ready to keep going, and we continued our usual path back to the shelter. We wrapped up the walk with nothing out of the ordinary. Same route, same slow pace, same affectionate goodbye when I dropped him off. Ray noted how well exercised he looked. Marcy waved from the front desk, and I drove home thinking about how I'd spend the rest of the weekend. Sunday passed in total normalcy. House cleaning, grocery run, a few Netflix shows, and some mental prep for another week in the corporate grind. Not for a second did it cross my mind that anything unusual had happened during our Saturday routine. Life was just moving along in its predictable, comfortable rhythm. Monday kicked off with the same corporate routine. Coffee, shower, clean clothes, ready to take on another week at Midwest. My boss showed up right on time, greeted the team, and we started our weekly report review. Around 10 a.m., my phone started blowing up with strange messages from unknown numbers, weird links, random comments, notifications that made no sense. That's when my cousin Jennifer called, her voice shaken, asking, "Caleb, what's going on? There's a video of you with a dog going viral." And that's how I found out how mocking an animal can go viral in the most unexpected way. My first instinct was to turn off my phone and pretend nothing was happening. Jennifer tried to explain over the phone that there was a video of me going around on TikTok with thousands of views, but her words felt like they were coming from another universe. "Caleb, they're making fun of you and the dog," she repeated several times while I just stood there silent on the other end of the line. My supervisor noticed the change in my expression and asked if I was okay. I said yes and slipped the phone into my pocket. What I didn't know yet was how brutally a shelter volunteer can be humiliated when the world decides to judge without knowing a thing. It was impossible to resist curiosity during my lunch break. I opened the link Jennifer had sent and saw myself standing in the park in my company jacket, with my buddy calmly resting on the grass just like I remembered from Saturday. The cruel caption read, "Does this guy think he's walking a dog or a whale?" 2.3 million views, 17,000 comments brutally attacking the appearance of my furry friend. Obese pet. Poor animal. This guy doesn't know how to care for a dog. Every word felt like a knife to the gut. I shut the app with my stomach completely twisted. The afternoon dragged on like a slow-motion nightmare. Notifications kept flooding in. People sharing, creating cruel memes, editing the video with mocking soundtracks. Coworkers started giving me weird looks, whispering when they walked past my desk. At 4 p.m., a message came in from an unknown number. "You should be arrested for animal abuse." That's when I truly realized the scale of this digital madness. Strangers on the internet were passing judgment without knowing a single second of my story with that golden retriever. I got home determined not to let this slide. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop and dove into research I'd never done before. How the world of social media works when it turns into a personal hell. I created accounts on platforms I didn't even know existed, studied algorithms, learned how negative content spreads like digital wildfire. I grabbed a notebook and pen, started listing names, profiles, people spreading lies about me. If they wanted war, they were about to find out exactly who they were messing with. The shelter coordinator was furious when I showed her the attacks over the phone that night. "Copper is one of the gentlest dogs we've ever cared for here," she said, her voice full of outrage. "And you're the best volunteer we've got." Ray took the phone and said something that completely shifted my strategy. "Maybe it's time to show the world the real work you do." That's when the idea started to take shape. Instead of desperately defending myself, I'd show the whole internet who my partner really was. That viral nightmare was about to turn into something entirely different. Into the early hours of the morning, I mapped out every move of my response with surgical precision. It wouldn't be an emotional plea or a pity video. It would be undeniable proof of the truth. I organized old photos with the dog, records of my volunteer work, testimonials from Marcy and Ray, documents proving years of dedication to the municipal shelter. By the time Tuesday morning rolled around, I knew exactly how to turn that humiliating TikTok moment into a powerful story of resilience the internet would never forget. The people who judged based on looks were about to learn how many vital chapters they'd completely skipped. Tuesday started with an unexpected phone call at 6 in the morning. It was Jessica Thompson, a reporter from the Kentucky Herald Tribune. "Mr. Harris, would you like to comment on the animal abuse allegations circulating on social media?" She didn't even wait for my answer before continuing. "We were able to identify you by the company jacket in the video. Can you confirm that you work at Midwest? A chill ran down my spine when I realized they had tracked me down through a simple piece of clothing. I hung up without responding and noticed my phone already showed 17 missed calls from unknown numbers. The company owner called me into his private office before I even had a chance to turn on my computer. Caleb, I need to ask you directly. What do you have to say about these accusations? The question hit like a slap coming from someone who'd known me for 5 years. I tried to explain it was all a misunderstanding, that there was no mistreatment involved, but I could see in his face that things had gone way beyond what I imagined. I've been getting phone calls since last night, he said, rubbing his forehead tiredly. Clients threatening to cancel contracts if we don't fire you. That's how a humble man helping animals ends up being turned into a national villain without a chance to speak. The entire office turned into a silent war zone for the rest of the morning. Coworkers avoided eye contact. Conversations stopped when I walked by, and some people literally changed direction to avoid crossing paths with me. Around 10 a.m., an email from HR came through, requesting an urgent meeting at 2 p.m. That's when I realized this wasn't just some dumb viral video anymore. It had become an organized campaign to destroy my professional life, the kind of digital humiliation no one ever expects to live through. The HR meeting was exactly the nightmare I had imagined. Sandra Williams, the director, had a folder filled with screenshots from social media, angry emails from clients, and boycott threats. Caleb, do you understand the delicate position you've put us in? She asked, sliding the papers across the table like evidence of a crime. My supervisor was there too, visibly uncomfortable, avoiding eye contact while my career was publicly executed. We're going to have to place you on temporary leave until this situation is resolved, Sandra concluded coldly, turning what could have been a story of turning negativity into good into a personal tragedy. Walking out of the corporate building at 3 p.m., I felt a burning mix of rage and determination in my chest. I drove straight home, avoiding busy areas where I might be recognized. On the way, I heard a brief mention on the radio about the man and the obese dog. My life had become news. When I got to my street, I saw 2 cars parked outside with reporters waiting to ambush me. I slipped in through the back, climbing over my backyard fence like a fugitive from my own life. Inside, I turned on the TV and nearly passed out. My photo was on the local news with the headline, "Employee Fired After Viral Video." The anchor mentioned ongoing investigations and read a few out-of-context TikTok comments. I opened my phone and saw the original video had already hit 3 million views, with thousands of comments attacking my appearance and questioning whether I was fit to care for a pet. That was my first real glimpse into the full scale of the digital storm, now raging around me. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Journalists, nosy neighbors, unknown numbers. Private messages poured in nonstop, most of them demanding justice for the abused animal, without knowing a single fact. I tried reading some of the comments but had to stop. People were calling me an abuser, negligent, a criminal, based on 15 seconds of video. An online petition to have me prosecuted for animal abuse had already gathered 5,000 signatures. It was animal mockery with a twist I still couldn't fully process. That afternoon, I started getting strange notifications, my name popping up in profiles I didn't recognize. Animal welfare influencers began sharing the video with their own outraged commentary, multiplying its reach exponentially. A blogger with 200,000 followers posted, "Cases like this highlight the importance of raising awareness about animal well-being." I saw pet industry companies releasing generic public statements. Super Pet Food reaffirms its commitment to the humane treatment of all animals. It was opportunistic marketing dressed up as social responsibility. Later that night, I tried to get a better grasp of what was happening by creating a temporary profile to monitor the hashtags. I found out that activist groups were organizing awareness campaigns using my case as an example. Corporate pages were posting content about signs of animal neglect, without mentioning me directly, but clearly riding the engagement wave. General interest podcasts started discussing virality and social responsibility, using my story as a case study. It was a digital economy feeding off public outrage, turning my downfall into profitable attention. For the first time, I began to realize this wasn't just about one cruel video. It was about how the machine of organized digital outrage operates. People who genuinely cared about animals were blending with opportunists, chasing cheap engagement. Companies were posting hollow statements to ride the trending topic. Influencers were turning outrage into monetized views. Everything revolved around my ruined image, but no one had asked a basic question. Who was Caleb Harris, really? That gap was about to change the narrative entirely. Lying in bed that first night as the viral villain, I mentally organized everything I'd learned in the first 12 hours. The machine was running smoothly, outrage creating content, content generating profit, profit fueling more outrage. They had picked the wrong target for this campaign, unaware they were about to discover an adoption story that would change everything. While the world slept satisfied with its daily dose of digital justice, I was silently planning how to prove that sometimes justice on social media takes the most unexpected paths. The next 48 hours would be crucial to show the world that not everything that seems obvious really is. My response was being carefully crafted behind the scenes, and when the time came to reveal it, this entire hate-fueled industry would realize it had judged the wrong book by its cover. The twist no one saw coming was about to begin, and I was going to be the protagonist of my own redemption. Wednesday morning felt different. I woke up at 5 a.m. with total mental clarity. I went to my home office, laid out some documents on the desk, set up my phone on a makeshift stand. I adjusted the lighting, checked the framing, and hit record. It was time to tell my side of the story clearly and definitively. The world was about to learn how a shelter volunteer's humiliation could turn into a lesson about truth. My name is Caleb Harris, I began, looking into the camera with a calm tone. I hadn't planned to speak out, but given how far this has gone, I believe it's only fair to share my side. I paused briefly to take a deep breath. You know me as the guy who mistreats an overweight dog named Copper. Before you condemn me, I'd like you to know who I really am. The truth was finally ready to break through after days of digital crucifixion. I kept speaking as images appeared on screen, my volunteer badge from the municipal animal shelter, showing 3 years of service. Every weekend, I volunteer at our city's abandoned animal shelter. It's a commitment I made out of love for unwanted pets. Photos showed me cleaning cages, feeding animals, helping with treatments. This context made it clear. A humble man had been helping a shelter for years, but no one bothered to look into that before tearing me down. I told the story of the first time I saw the golden retriever, a sad dog in a cage, defeated by abandonment. 8 years old, left behind by his former family, already overweight due to his age. For 2 years, dozens of families rejected this dog simply because of how he looked. The footage showed our progress together. Baths, medication, walks in the yard. I became the only person willing to give him the love he deserved. It was a heartwarming adoption story twisted into a scandal by social media algorithms. The visuals shifted to clips of the dog playing, running, interacting joyfully with me and other volunteers. Take a look at the behavior of a supposedly mistreated pet, my voice continued in a voiceover. Videos showed my companion running toward me with his tail wagging, sleeping peacefully, playing with other dogs. Abused animals show trauma, fear, aggression, depression. He shows trust, happiness, unconditional love. The evidence proved that this chubby dog should have gone viral for his lovable personality, not for being mocked. The screen showed veterinary documents as I explained the complete medical records from the past 2 years. Copper is in perfect health for his age. His weight is normal for a senior golden retriever. Blood work, up-to-date vaccinations, and regular checkup reports appeared in sequence. All his medical expenses come out of my own paycheck. Prescriptions and receipts backed up every word about this mockery that had taken an unexpected turn. My tone grew more serious as I addressed the consequences of modern digital lynching. This goes beyond my story. It's about how an overweight pet going viral on TikTok can ruin lives when used irresponsibly. I spoke about losing my job, the threats I'd received, strangers invading my privacy. A justice campaign built on 15 seconds of footage. No context, no research. It was the perfect example of a humiliation story that turned into redemption, where destruction comes first and truth has to fight to be heard. A sense of controlled outrage came through as I talked about the damage done to real animal causes. You hurt the very cause you claim to care about through this destructive viral campaign. Shelters need volunteers, donations, Adoptive families for senior animals. I explained how they turned a genuine story of animal love into a digital circus. While you were attacking me, hundreds of abused animals kept suffering in silence. This was the tragedy of performative justice, punishing those who help while ignoring those in real need. I ended by looking straight into the camera with complete seriousness for my final message. To everyone who shared hate without knowing the facts, remember that doing your research before judging is a basic responsibility. I paused for a beat before continuing. To those who truly care about animal welfare, stop performing outrage online. Make a real difference. Visit shelters. Adopt rejected pets, become a volunteer. I closed with, real cruelty isn't imperfect care. It's using animal suffering to destroy innocent people. Now you've seen what silent justice on social media looks like. I turned off the camera knowing the twist was complete. I posted the video at 7 a.m. on Thursday and watched the first few minutes in total silence. 1 view, 5, 15, then 50 within seconds. The first comments started rolling in. Oh my God, I shared this without knowing the full story. Within half an hour, it had 1,000 views and hundreds of apologies. The tide was starting to turn, viral, and in a way I never expected. By noon, the video had exploded with 50,000 views and the comment count climbing fast. I cried watching this, one user wrote. How could we judge without knowing the truth? Influencers who had attacked me began quietly deleting their posts. One blogger posted, I publicly apologize. This was a lesson in fact-checking. The negative viral turned awareness campaign was working exactly how I'd imagined. All day Thursday, social media lit up with supportive posts and user-created hashtags. Caleb the Hero and Adopt Senior Pets trended in several cities across the country. People shared their own volunteer stories. Others posted photos of senior pets they'd adopted. A new petition was launched calling for awareness before judgment, the complete opposite of the one demanding my arrest. The arc of humiliation to redemption had come full circle through one simple truth. By Friday, I was getting calls from media outlets wanting exclusive interviews about my experience. The same reporter who chased me down earlier was now desperate. We'd love to do a full feature on your volunteer work. My former boss reached out offering me my job back, with a promotion. We made a huge mistake, come back anytime. Silent justice on social media was finally working in my favor. National producers and podcasters sent in collaboration requests. Over the weekend, the shelter started getting calls from people wanting to volunteer or adopt senior pets. Marcy called me in tears. We've got 20 families interested in meeting dogs like yours. Ray Jenkins said he'd never seen this much genuine interest in responsible adoption. Your story is inspiring people to really step up, he said, proud of how things had turned around. What began as mockery of an animal had turned into a powerful and genuine awareness campaign. By Monday, I found out my companion had become a bit of a local celebrity. 5 families had reached out specifically asking about him, hoping to schedule personal visits. One of them has experience with senior golden retrievers, the coordinator said with a smile. It was heartwarming to see how this overweight dog had captured the internet in a positive way, finally getting the loving attention he deserved. A shelter volunteer's public shaming had transformed into an inspiring story driving mass adoptions. Throughout the week, companies that had jumped on the marketing bandwagon came back with real partnership offers for the shelter. We'd like to sponsor treatments for senior animals, one pet food brand said formally. Veterinary clinics offered free care, and pet stores donated supplies in bulk. What began as commercial exploitation had turned into real mobilization for animal welfare. The turnaround was generating real-world impact where it mattered most, for animals in need. By the following Thursday, I received offers I never could have imagined. Documentaries, book deals, animal welfare campaign partnerships. You have a powerful platform now, a consultant told me. You can use it to change lives. I began considering leaving my old job to fully commit to the cause I had always loved. Our emotional adoption story had opened doors I'd never dreamed of, creating new opportunities for broader social impact. The universe was offering a second career, one rooted in love for animals. 10 days after my video went live, the shelter coordinator called with the final news. The Johnson family decided to adopt Copper. I felt a mix of joy and sadness. My companion was finally getting the full family he deserved. It was the perfect ending and the beginning of a new chapter as an advocate for animals. The recognition had turned me into a force for good, carrying the responsibility of using my platform wisely. Soon, I'd walk that golden retriever into his new home, closing one chapter and opening another. The day of our goodbye came on a sunny Friday morning, exactly 2 weeks after the viral video that changed our lives. I walked my companion to the Johnsons' home, watching as Sarah gently stroked his head while he curiously explored the spacious backyard. "He's going to be so loved here," she promised with tears in her eyes as the golden retriever played with Max, his new brother of the same breed. I said goodbye knowing our journey together had ended in the most beautiful way possible. That once rejected dog had become a celebrity and finally found his place in the world through real love. 3 months later, I made the biggest decision of my life. I left my old company to dedicate myself fully to animal welfare. With over 200,000 followers on social media, I turned my experience into a platform to raise awareness about responsible adoption. I launched the Second Chances Project, connecting municipal shelters with families interested in adopting senior pets often overlooked by society. What began as TikTok humiliation and redemption had become my life's mission, and it's already led to over 500 adoptions. That career shift proved that sometimes the worst moments take us to the best places. The transformation went far beyond my personal journey. It sparked real change in the community and online. The municipal shelter got a full renovation funded by partner company donations. Marcy was promoted to executive director, and Ray gained a permanent team of 5 volunteers. My former companion became the national mascot for a senior pet adoption campaign, smiling and healthy in TV commercials. Universities began using our story in courses on fact-checking and digital responsibility. It was rewarding to see how one humble man helping a shelter could create lasting social impact when the truth finally has its day. Looking back now, I understand those teenagers at the park had no idea they were filming the start of a quiet revolution. Our experience proved that a chubby dog going viral on TikTok can either destroy or uplift, depending on how society chooses to respond to the truth. The internet learned a powerful lesson about judging before knowing the facts, and I found my true calling through pain. The golden retriever found his perfect family, I found my life's purpose, and thousands of abandoned animals found new homes thanks to the awareness we created. Sometimes silent justice on social media takes time, but when it arrives, it changes everything in the most lasting, meaningful way. And now, I want to speak directly to you, the one who stayed with me through this entire journey about how a single video can change an entire life. Have you ever experienced something similar? Been attacked online without a chance to defend yourself? Or had to prove your innocence to people who judged you without knowing the facts? Share your story in the comments. I want to know how you handled it, and if you managed to turn that injustice into an opportunity to grow. Tell me how you found the strength to show the world who you really are. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any new content. Every day, I share real stories about people who faced unfair situations and found a way to rise above through perseverance and courage. Just like I turned humiliation into a life purpose, you too can discover that your greatest strength might come from using painful experiences to make a difference in the world. Stay strong on your journey. Truth always finds its way.